Real estate might be one of the best jobs for people with ADHD, and I don't think that we talk about it enough. But I also think that most people with ADHD who are in real estate are doing it in a way that makes it feel way harder than it needs to be. And I'm going to say it from the very beginning, I don't think ADHD is a problem, but I do very much think that unfinished work is a problem, and ADHD people have a tendency not to finish work. If you look at how most jobs are designed, they're built around consistency and repetition and long stretches of focus on the same type of task. And if your brain doesn't naturally operate that way, you end up feeling like you're the issue. Like you just need to try a little bit harder or be a little bit more disciplined or up your medication. But then you step into something like real estate and it feels completely different. You're talking to people, you're solving problems in real time. Things are changing constantly. Your schedule is never the same 2 days in a row. There's a level of variety that works really well for a brain that doesn't sit still and do the same thing over and over and over again, like laundry or dishes. I hate all of those things. For a lot of people, that's the first time work has actually felt natural. But then somewhere along the way, it starts to feel really hard again. And it's not because you stopped being capable of doing your job. It's because the way that you're running the business starts depending on skills that just don't come naturally to you. Things that have to be done. Most people in this space are really good at starting. They're really good at talking. They're really good at building relationships, working a room. They're good in the moment. They can create that momentum quickly without needing a ton of structure on the front end. They're good at these big vision ideas, but the business does not run on starting. The business really runs and gets you paid whenever you finish things. That's where things tend to fall apart just a little bit. Follow-up tracking, remembering where somebody is in the process, remembering who you talked to yesterday and having to circle back over to them, keeping everything moving behind the scenes so that everything in front of the scenes looks really good. Those are the parts that don't always live naturally in your brain. And if your business is built in a way where all of that depends on you just being consistent, it's always going to feel like you are behind. So the goal here isn't to turn yourself into someone who suddenly loves structures, routines, and perfectly organized workflows because your planner and your spreadsheet is not going to fix this problem. It's not realistic and it's not necessary. The goal here would be to have something in your business that finishes what you don't. Not because you can't, but because your energy is better used somewhere else. You should be having the conversations. You should be connecting with people and solving problems and moving things forward and dreaming big, like I said a second ago. That's where you actually create the value that people want in your business. But the back end of the business, the remembering and the tracking and the following through, that can't just sit in your head and hope that it works out. Instead of trying to become more disciplined, you should stop depending on discipline for the parts of the business that don't come naturally to you. That can be really simple. Your CRM probably has a lot of tips and tricks in it that you didn't realize because you haven't been looking. If you have an assistant or you have a VA that can help you, like whatever your follow-up process is, it needs to happen automatically and be exciting enough for you to say, let's go close the loop that I opened instead of letting everything stay half finished. Nothing complicated, just enough structure so that things don't fall through the cracks. And once you have that in place, everything starts to feel a lot more manageable. You're not holding your entire business inside of your head. You're not constantly restarting things, which just makes me so mad. You're just moving things forward in a way that matches how you actually operate. You don't need a different brain to do well in real estate, and you don't need to fix yourself before things start to work. You just need to stop building your business in a way that fights you, because real estate isn't the problem and ADHD isn't the problem either. Trying to force yourself into a way of operating that was never a good fit in the first place is absolutely the problem here. I was looking at my resume the other day and I realized that every job that I had prior to real estate, I was in it for 1 year and 3 months. That was like when my brain would just shut off and say, I'm tired of this, I'm bored, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm tired of doing this laundry, get me out of here. And then I would swap jobs. When I got into real estate, I loved it, and I have been in it for 6 years now. I have been in real estate for 6 years. I've been teaching and training for 4 years. I have found 2 jobs, ideas, lifestyles, business plans that fit me so well that I don't want to stop. I think that's kind of a big deal. So if you've been thinking about getting into real estate, if you have ADHD and you're like, none of this stuff has been working for me, and I think getting into real estate might make sense, I promise you, it could be a really great move if you're ready to build the business around the way that you think.